Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 5, Episode 5 of HBO's Insecure, entitled Surviving, okay? Not gonna do anything goofy or funny with the title or try to say it differently. Is it me, or is this season getting worse episode by episode? I didn't like this episode at all. I feel like this is the kind of episode, this episode did a poor job of reading the room, I think. For starters, this episode opened up with Molly getting ate out by some random dude. And like I mentioned last week, I don't like the direction they've taken Molly, because they made us think that she was turning a corner and was going to take her dating life seriously, reflect on how all of the bad decisions she made in her dating life previously in the show, how snobbish and snooty and arrogant she was, and be a little bit more accepting of people that she might not usually date. And then she starts fucking around with this dumb Arik guy from last week, and now she's getting ate out by some new random guy this week, and it just feels like she's just back to regular old Molly again. I'm like, what was even the point of having her do this whole dating app and answering these questions about her previous dating life, kind of hinting at maybe she was gonna give that guy from the church a shot at a date? Like, what was the point of introducing that whole angle just to have her go look for random dick last week and then now getting ate out by somebody we don't even know who this guy is? At least we saw the Arik guy last week. Now it's just some random dude. At least I didn't recognize him. But even if I did, like, he's not a somebody that we've established as somebody that she's seeing. So I don't care about. I'm not trying to come off like, Molly doesn't have the right to just fuck whoever she wants. She absolutely does. I'm not trying to come at it from that angle. I'm coming at it from the storyline angle. Like, you told us one thing and now you're showing us something different. That's what's bothering me about it. But so they already opened it up, and I'm kind of like, okay, who the fuck is this guy? So Molly gets a call from her dad, finds out that her mom had a stroke and is in the hospital. She goes to the hospital. The doctor comes out. They're like, how is it? And the doctor says, it was bad. You guys should say your final goodbyes. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is escalating. Wow. Okay. And then they go in there, and it's not actually their mom. And I hated this scene. Was this supposed to be funny? Like, was it supposed to be like, like, what was the point of this? And I saw a tweet this morning that's from one of the writers. I think it might have been from the Insecure account, but whatever it was, it said that actually happened to one of the writers on the show. And that's why I said they're not reading the room well, because for some reason that writer thought this would be funny to put in the show. And the idea of coming to grips with saying your final goodbyes to your mother, getting in the room, and then seeing it's not her is not fucking funny at all. Like, I'm probably putting hands on somebody if that were to happen to me. And I don't, like, I'm watching that, I'm like, are they playing this for laughs? Because it felt like they were. And they're like, oh, that's not our mom. And like, I felt like they were trying to be funny. And that is like the biggest swing and a miss that I think this show has ever done. Like, where they think like, oh, this is gonna be an interesting, funny gag. Like, you play around with dead moms. Like who thinks that's funny? Like, that's not a funny set of circumstances where you're like, oh man, they think their mom's dying, and it turns out it's not their mom at all. Ha ha ha. Who the fuck thinks that's funny? Like, I don't know. That was a terrible scene to me. I had forgotten about it until I started preparing to do this video. I was like, fuck that scene. Hate that fucking scene. But so yeah, this episode got off to a bad start with that kind of shit, and it's called Surviving, okay? And I think the surviving aspect pertains to not just Molly's mom, who obviously is trying to survive, but Molly trying to survive Molly's mom trying to survive. That makes sense. So, there's a scene later in the episode, which I think this is a good scene, where Molly essentially says, we find out earlier that Molly's mom had actually had a stroke prior, a minor one, and that her and her father collectively decided to not tell the kids about it. And Molly's talking to Issa, and she says, my mother didn't think I was strong enough to handle that news. And like a good friend, Issa does a great job of kind of like building her up. She said like, "Bitch, have you seen you?" or something like that. Like I thought that was a dope line. So I think that's some of the surviving that the title is talking about as well, is just surviving this kind of experience and surviving that kind of like guilt, like my mother didn't think I was good enough to even not good enough, but didn't think I was strong enough to even handle this news. And now she's dealing with that while she's trying to survive actually getting through this situation, which we find out, while it's not her mother dying, it's still a very bad situation. The doctor comes back and tells her that there could be some paralysis and that it was really severe and all that kind of stuff. So I saw something out of the corner of my eye. I think it was just a bird flying by my window. And that, there could be some paralysis there, and that's some heavy duty news. So, that's a thing that you got to try to survive. That's a heavy thing to happen to a family. And then there's a lot I didn't like about this episode. Then we also have this B plot with Nate and Issa. So Nate takes Issa to the hospital to visit with Molly. Issa offers to bring her some fresh clothes because she's still in the same clothes. I can't believe I'm going to say this sentence. She was still in the same clothes she was getting eaten out in. So Issa offers to go to her place and get her some clothes. They swap clothes in that moment so that Molly can be wearing jeans and a sweatshirt, and Issa puts on a dress that she had on, gets back in the car. They go to Nate drives them over to Molly's apartment to get the clothes, and Nate sees that she has a dog and says, let's, walk the dog because the dog's probably going to be here by itself for a while. And they lose the dog. After they lose the dog, they continue walking super casually, right? And I'm sitting here like, you just lost someone else's dog. Why is there not a bigger sense of urgency here? Like, they're just casually walking, and I forget what the dog's name is, but it was something stupid. And Nate's just casually, we'll say the dog's name is Frank. I don't give a fuck what the dog's name is, but let's just say the name is Frank. Nate's like, yeah, blah, 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 having a conversation. Yo, Frank. Yeah, so anyway, like, they're not even trying to find this dog. And that was just mind-blowing to me. Like, you're not putting any effort into this at all. And then on top of that, whatever conversation they were having was so boring that I didn't even put it in my notes. Like, I don't even know what they were talking about. I was so disinterested in it. And I'm like, why? Like, what is this boring shit happening right now? And I said last week, do they realize this is the last season? And now I'm saying it again. Do they realize that we are now halfway through the last season, and we spent a large chunk of this episode with Nate and Issa having a boring ass conversation that ultimately leads to Issa saying that she loves him. But man, that was a boring ass, uninteresting ass way to get there. And then on top of that, I don't know about you guys, but let's say hypothetically that was meant to be a big, well, there's no hypothetically, it was meant to be a big moment for her to say that. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm not buying Nate and Issa as a couple anyway. So that didn't mean anything to me. Like, I don't think the work has been put in to make Nate and Issa a believable couple to the audience, because we had the whole, when we dealt with Nate last, there was the whole situation of him running off for all that time and not saying anything, and then he comes out with the bipolar stuff. And it's almost kind of like, once he said, he was bipolar, all of a sudden now he's perfectly fine, and we're supposed to just buy him and Issa being together again. And I don't know. I just don't buy it. I don't feel like that's the relationship that I want to see, or that I have interest in, or that I'm invested in. I think we're all kind of invested in Issa and Lawrence, right? So like, I just feel like you have to make me believe that Lawrence doesn't want to be with Issa. Issa doesn't want to be with Lawrence, and they're not good for one another. And you also have to make me believe that none of that applies to Issa and Nate. And I don't see that at all. Like, I don't think Nate's good for her. They don't have much of a chemistry to me. It feels very forced. Like, Nate's just, like, the actor is just doing whatever he perceives as like a sexy characterization of someone. And it just, I don't know. I don't really buy it. So for them to spend all that time having a boring ass conversation, 2, having that boring ass conversation pull me out of the episode, because I'm sitting here thinking like, why are they not even trying to find this dog? So you pull me out of the episode for this boring conversation to ultimately lead me to Issa saying that she loves him, but I don't even buy them as a couple. So I just feel like they just haven't done the work to make this not even a believable relationship, but one that's interesting or that I care about. So yeah, that was a whole ass mess too. But I mean, is that just me though? Like, are you guys you guys feel Issa and Nate as a couple? Like, did you find that fucking this isn't my mom scene to be funny? Like, I don't know. I just didn't buy any of the shit they laid down here. The only thing that I liked was the conversation where Issa built up Molly. Like, that was the only thing I liked here. And then the episode ends with Issa seeing Lawrence and condolences at the hospital, and they're there with their baby, and she seems thrown by this. She seems to not like it, and I find that interesting, given that we had just seen her tell Nate she loved him. If that was true, why would she feel any kind of way about seeing Lawrence and condolences there? Just throw up the deuce, like, hey, what up, Lawrence? Keep it moving, or go up there and talk to him, like, hey, oh, nice, but like, act like someone who doesn't give a shit, right? Especially, even if you do act like, you should still act like you don't, right? Because that's not the position that you're in. He's there with his baby mama and his kid. You can't act jealous. You have to act like you don't give a shit. You just have to, even if you do. So the fact that she seemed thrown by this, and her and Lawrence have eye contact, it seems like they're both thrown by seeing each other, which is fair. They should be thrown a little bit. You know, they probably haven't seen each other in a long time. But for us as the viewer, for this scene to come on the heels of Issa telling Nate that she loves him, it feels weird that she would just have, like, that she would see Lawrence and then it feels, and she seems thrown by this. But I'm not mad about that or anything. Like, again, they have the history to make that scene believable. So like, I didn't have any problem with that. And then they showed the preview for next week, and she leaves at the end of the episode, but stands just around the corner. But then they show in the preview for next week that she does come back and actually approaches them. So I'm real interested to see what that conversation is like. But yeah, I don't feel a sense of urgency in the show. I didn't feel a sense of urgency in them looking for that dog. There's not a lot of urgency here. I felt like that fucking mistaken mom scene was really bad, really bad. And I feel like they're jerking us around on Molly. Like, I thought Molly was going to show some growth and maturity and was going to start being a more mature dater and all this kind of stuff. And then now we just see her just like, which guy is less stupid so I can fuck that guy? Should I just fuck this random guy? Like, that doesn't seem like growth to me. And then we take another step to where now she's getting ate out by somebody we don't even know who it is. And I don't know. I feel like they might as well just never even put in that part of her going through that dating app and seeing like, asking these questions that are making her reflect on her history. I'm thinking like, man, this is getting deep. This is good for Molly. They could have just threw that shit out if they was gonna have her fuck this Arik dude and then get ate out by somebody else the next week. Why even put that scene in there? So that's like weird. That's a weird character arc for Molly contained within this season that feels. I don't want to say not true to the character, because it is true to the character what she's doing right now. But that weird moment of growth was that the episode that was called Growth? Okay. That weird moment of growth with Molly seems pointless. Like, well, why was that even there? Because she's not showing that now. So I'm pretty concerned about the second half of the season of this show. It seems to kind of feel like they're not. I don't want to say that they're mailing it in, but that's kind of how it feels. Like, they do some good stuff, but it does largely feel like they're kind of mailing it in here. Like, kind of like, like the final Game of Thrones season. It's like, they put all that money behind it, but at the end of the day, the meat on the bones was not very much. And that's how I feel here. Like, they're putting some effort in, but there's a whole lot of missteps along the way. So, I'll see you guys for episode 6 next week, and let's just hope that I can survive, okay? Because this shit was not good to me. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.